The AI Art Reckoning. In 2023, the first lawsuits were filed against Midjourney, Stability AI, and OpenAI. The artists suing claimed their work was stolen without consent. None of these companies went bankrupt. None of them shut down. But they'd already lost something more valuable than money, the moral high ground. And they never saw it coming. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to 1950. That's when the field of artificial intelligence was founded, not as consumer software, but as an academic discipline. Alan Turing and his peers were asking, can machines think? But they never asked, should machines create art? For decades, that question was academic. Literally. Artists began experimenting with AI shortly after the field's founding in the 1950s. By the 1980s and 90s, some of these AI-generated artworks were being showcased in museums. The recognition was real. The controversy wasn't. Because back then, generating a single piece of AI art took weeks of computation and cost thousands of dollars. Only institutions and researchers with funding could even attempt it. Then, in 2022, everything compressed into months. Stability AI released Stable Diffusion. OpenAI released DALL-E 2. Midjourney launched. These weren't academic projects anymore. They were consumer products. You could type a sentence, a oil painting of a sunset over mountains, and get an image in seconds. The barrier to entry collapsed from thousands of dollars to nothing. Here's how they worked: text-to-image models. That's the technical term. In plain language, they're pattern-matching machines trained on billions of images scraped from the internet. The software learned, when humans write these words, this is what they usually draw. Then it generates something new based on those patterns. The training data came from the internet. Most of it came without permission from the artists whose work was used to teach the machine what art looks like. That's the fact nobody talks about clearly enough. These systems were built on uncredited, uncompensated artistic labor. Billions of images, none licensed. By early 2023, the momentum was unstoppable. Millions of people were using these tools. Stock photo sites started banning AI images. But the damage was already structural. The models existed. The code was public. You couldn't uninvent it. But there was something nobody saw coming: the artists would organize. By late 2023, class action lawsuits were filed. Sarah Anderson, Kelly McKernan, Carla Ortiz, artists with millions of followers, sued the companies for copyright infringement. Their argument was simple: our work was in your training data. We never agreed to that. You profited from it. We deserve compensation. The company's defense was equally simple: it's fair use. We're transforming the images through machine learning. It's no different than a human artist studying another artist's work. Legally, that defense held. No company folded. No massive settlement happened. But culturally, something broke. Stock photo sites like Shutterstock and Getty Images started integrating AI tools instead of banning them. They were hedging. Getty Images had been sued themselves as a training data source. Their solution: join the AI ecosystem rather than resist it. Adobe added generative AI to Creative Suite, but only trained on licensed images. By 2024, the field had fractified. There was no unified AI art anymore. There was licensed AI art, unlicensed AI art, and an increasingly vocal segment of artists saying, the technology itself isn't the problem. The theft was the problem. Here's what actually happened: the companies won tactically but lost strategically. Midjourney still operates. Stability AI still operates. But they operate in a world where artists now treat them with deep skepticism. Every new model they release faces immediate scrutiny about training data. The real lesson isn't about AI or art. It's about velocity versus consent. When a technology moves faster than the legal system can evaluate it, you create a moral debt. And moral debt compounds. You can ignore it for a while. You cannot ignore it forever. The artists suing didn't need to win in court. They needed to win the narrative. They did. And that changed the entire trajectory of the field, not by stopping it, but by forcing it to ask the question it should have asked before 2022, whose work are we actually using? Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Tech Postmortem. We break down one tech story like this every week.